I've been playing the finals since Season 1, and over the course of 2.5 years, I have developed a thorough understanding for the types of players that exist within this game. But let me assure you that this isn't your usual stock and standard types of players video. So to prove that, we're kicking things off with the Goo Bender. They say that there's 4 elements: water, earth, fire, and wind. But clearly the writers of Avatar: The Last Airbender never played the finals, because they forgot the 5th element: goo. These players are masters when it comes to the goo gun and goo grenades, and have dedicated their finals journey to learning its ways. They can use it as a tool of support, to create protection from enemies, create cover for their team, or allow gaps to be crossed. They can use it as a tool for defense, to seal the cache out tight from potential thieves, or to block off areas and funnel enemies to where they want them. They can use it as a tool of destruction, to bring down buildings and surprise enemies, or they can use it as a tool of offense, to scale buildings or create a nice angle for their teammates' jump pad. These players are also rarely creative and have made some widely known tech. Sometimes it's genius, and sometimes it's goofy as hell. They're constantly pushing the game's boundaries with every new update and are rarely interesting to watch. Now, I did say that this wasn't your usual types of players video, and we're continuing with that, because next up, we have the unemployed. Not to be confused with the pro player, there is a difference, which we'll touch on later. One of the biggest things that deters people from playing the finals, or leaving once they've tried it, is the very high skill ceiling. And whilst we're all guilty of constantly sweating and trying to get better after each death, the unemployed make new players reconsider whether they should have even bothered with the finals in the first place. And it's fair enough. These players are quite literally unemployed and spend 90% of their waking hours playing this game. I'm talking 10 to 14 hours a day, hundreds of thousands of kills, and definitely a top 500 position in any of the modes, not just ranked. Now, to be fair, the unemployed is a type of player found across gaming in general, not just the finals, yet the proportion of employed versus unemployed seems so much higher in this game. And one final thing before we move on. If you, yourself, are actually unemployed, but play video games a max of 6 hours a day, have your bedroom window open most of the day, have a diet that isn't solely Cheetos, fast food, and white monsters, and you shower, you don't count as this type of player. Now let's flip the script with the wholesome and innocent, but sometimes just as annoying type of player, the noob. As I mentioned with the unemployed, the finals has a very high skill ceiling, and whilst Mbok is continuing to try and ease this learning curve, it still remains very high, as by nature, the finals is a hard game, no matter what your ex-Apex Pro friend tells you. The noob, although one type of player, can be split into 2 distinct categories. You have the ones that are trying their best, and the ones who are new to anything other than Crossy Road. The ones who are trying their best are pretty cool. They may not be the greatest and forget to play the objective, but they're trying to figure it all out, and you can see that. I'm empathetic to them and wish them the best on their finals journey. Whereas the other category of noob makes me a little bit mad. Like, why are you aiming at the floor when he's right in front of you? Why are you on the other side of the map when I'm getting thrown around between 3 heavies? And why did you decide to play cash out when you can barely hold a controller? I feel better now. And this isn't even me being a douche. The stuff I've seen genuinely makes me question if they just came out of the womb. If you load in and see your teammate rocking the free outfit from page 1 of the current season's battle pass, then he's new to the game and figuring things out. But if you load in and see this outfit, you better start praying that he's a smurf. Oh, and to all noobs of the finals out there, welcome. But please don't play cash out until you have at least 10 or 15 hours on the game, because it is an absolute sweatfest and will make you want to uninstall if you're just starting out. There really should be a level or matches played requirement to protect you and all solo queuers' sanity. Mine included. Now we're going to the complete opposite end of the spectrum with the pro player. The main difference between this player and the unemployed, besides the fact that they know what deodorant is that the pro player earns money off the game and is seen actively participating in proper tournaments with dreams of competing on stage at the Grand Major. They value quality over quantity when it comes to time spent on the game and are constantly analyzing the competitive scene. They'll record their own gameplay and watch it back. They'll keep an eye on when the next tournament is. They'll pay attention to what's happening in other regions, and so forth. They're also pretty nice and willing to provide tips and tricks. They're generally a part of one of the official in-game esports clubs, and because they are presentable and figure that people will watch pro players, a fair few of them string. Finally, their 3 favorite things are the SA-1216, a crisp energy drink, and dreams of the Grand Major. Moving on, the support. I'm talking healing beam, defib, jump pad or zipline, and data reshaper or goo grenade. The ultimate support loadout. These players are really nice to have on your team, but can be questionable at times. They don't really care about your KD, nor whether they should be shooting the enemy, or healing you so you can shoot the enemy. Their main priority besides winning is their support score, and they will strive to get it as high as can be. The support does have its strengths and weaknesses, however. It's perhaps the most effective when played with 2 heavies, as that way they deal the damage and can take an awful lot, which you increase because of your healing beam. And as soon as one of them goes down, bam, defibs are out and active. When played in this situation, the support becomes the sugar mom of the two heavies. But even besides that, the constant healing and lovely placed jump pads are always nice. Yet the main weakness of the support though is their addiction to rezzing you with the defibs. Your statue has the whole enemy team on it. I will defib. You're midway through taking a bite of your food. I will defib. The only way you can win is if you steal the cash out right now. I will defib first. Like, it's really not that hard of a gadget. You just need to use it sensibly. For me personally, this was the only way I could enjoy playing medium until the shockwave was added. So give it a try if you haven't already. Now, considering we're on the topic of the shockwave, we may as well move on to player number 6, the Movement Connoisseur. And I speak on a personal note here, as I am one of them. The finals honestly has some of the best movement in a video game and comes close to being as good as Titanfall 2. If you use the right abilities, of course. Yet it isn't even one of the main mechanics. By far, the number one thing you will see a Movement Connoisseur rock is the grapple, and for good reason. With the grapple, we're able to scale the building in 1.5 seconds, push ahead and fall back to the team almost immediately, evade death a ridiculous amount of times, and plug cash outs when you think the round's over. There's a certain neuron in our brains that gets activated when we're whizzing through the air faster than our teammates, and if low gravity turns on, then we're turned on. Besides the grapple, dashing before hitting a jump pad also activates that same neuron, and we used to be purely light players, but since Season 10 and the introduction of the aerialist playstyle, medium has been quite nice lately. And Neon Guts is our king, by the way. Continuing on to perhaps the cringiest player in the game, the melee spammer. Let me picture you this. You're in the middle of a fight against, say, Orange, when all of a sudden, woof, 140 of your health is gone before shing, 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 and you're dead to a guy from Pink that forgot what aiming felt like. That is a sword player, but more broadly, the melee spammer at work. Whether it's the sword, sledgehammer, dagger, spear, dual katanas, or worst of them all, the riot shield, this player loves getting close and personal and pissing people off. They haven't used any other type of weapon since after their 5th game and believe in the philosophy of live by the melee, die by the melee. Their IQ is rather low and their ego rather high, but there is a small percentage of melee players who after hundreds of hours ascend into the upper echelons of this finals lifestyle. They are known as the greats of melee abuse. With perfect mastery of the dagger combined with great movement, they can kill you so swiftly it's like they used a Sandevistan. With the ability to unleash more devastating combos than you can in Street Fighter with the sword, and the knowledge to move the cash out more precisely than I was with writing the script through using the sledgehammer, they become a right pain on my ass due to how many clips they're putting me in. For player number 8, we have the player with the highest chance of being insane, the solo queue, and I speak on a personal note here again. Now, just a quick disclaimer. I'm going to be talking about the solo queue in a ranked and cash out sense because solo queuing in all of the other modes rarely isn't too bad and doesn't impact the person much. So let's get started with saying that we have developed a Cambridge Dictionary level definition for good and bad teammates and have seen all of the skill levels on our team and on the enemy team. Some sessions our teammates will have a decent IQ and so will the enemies, allowing for some really tense and enjoyable fights, with us reaching the finals a couple of times. But on other days, it will be hours of AFK teammates, leaving teammates, throwing teammates, noobs on their 3rd ever game, and washed level 120s, all else the whole lobby is Ruby and Diamond. It can be mind-numbing sometimes. We keep playing one more and hope that we can enjoy our favorite game, but some days we never get the opportunity. We never do. We're pretty nice guys in general, and if we tell you to do something, don't get pissed at us. It's constructive criticism. As for why we solo queue, well, we tried to get our friends on the game, but they just didn't play it for long enough to actually figure it out, or they just simply didn't like it. Not every game is for everyone, you know? And finally, if you still don't fit into any of the player types I've mentioned so far, well, you're about to now, because lastly, we have the casual. Essentially, the everything that I haven't mentioned. They might be employed or semi-employed, and don't have that much time during the week to play video games. As a result, they're pretty average at the game, which is chill. They aren't the techiest of players, thus tend to rock the less complicated specializations like the turret, charge and slam, or dash, to name a few. Their go-to weapons are quite smooth, like your ARs and a couple of the semi-autos, and don't expect them to do any crazy strats, especially involving Goo. They're not trying to impress anyone or any leaderboard. These players are the bread and butter of every game, not just the finals, and are rather simple creatures. They just want to get on the game with their friends for a couple of hours, have some fun, sweat a little, maybe learn a thing or two, and then call it there. Maybe they'll watch some YouTube videos on the game later in the week and daydream about it, but they never let the game entirely consume them. And that is the key point with the casual. And there you have it, all 9 different types of players in the finals. I tried not to boil things down too much so that it doesn't become really niche and hone in on one super specific way to play the game, and instead try to focus on the actual character of the player as such. This is my first YouTube video in quite some time, and I want to start uploading again. So if you want to see more shenaniganry content on the finals and Arc Raiders, subscribe and maybe give the Twitch a follow. Anyways, thank you for watching and have an amazing rest of your day.